So, good morning everybody, and welcome to yet another Monday morning assembly as we begin our second to last week of this school term. Then we'll be heading into the summer holidays, so we have this week and then just one more week. So this is our second to last assembly, or as a good word to learn, this would be known as the penultimate assembly of this year. So good morning everybody. Reception, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5 and year 6. I hope that you've had a lovely weekend, maybe taken advantage of some of the new rules that you're allowed to now follow. That means that you can spend more time with those people that are very important to you in their house, and obviously keeping all the safe rules in place as you do so. But maybe you've had a chance to do that this weekend and you've been able to catch up with more people than you've been able to before. So I hope that you've had a lovely weekend and you are ready to begin the week this week in terms of the learning that you are going to do. So as usual, I'm going to start by celebrating all the wonderful things that have been going on. Here we have some of our reception children who've been in school for the past week. Here they are decorating biscuits, which is one of the things that they wanted to do, and looking at patterns, and also doing some PE work and having a go at some limboing and seeing how far and low they could go rather, and trying to keep active at the same time. So as usual, it's been a wonderful delight with seeing what the children in school have been doing and balancing that up with what the children at home have been doing at the same time. We've also had this as well. We've had our year 6 leavers. Of course, for them, very different year 6. We know that in terms of the leaving, and I know that your year 6 teachers are planning and working very hard at trying to put some things together that mean we can still say goodbye and celebrate all the things that you have done in your time with us. And of course, one of those things is the leavers hoodies, which they are clearly displaying there. I think the reason they've got their backs to us, it looks like a small kind of lineup in some way, but it's to show off the date on the back, and of course all the people and the children that have attended, and it's got their names on it as well. So well done if you've received yours. I know they're still being collected, so please come in and get them. We've also got the children who are in the mixed group carrying on with their yoga work, and we've also got some wonderful artwork that's been done in year 1 in the style of Andy Warhol, which is a pop art format, and we can see the year 1s there learning about this art style and having a go at it. And we've also got some children from year 3 who've been doing their dinosaur prehistoric silhouette pictures. We've had some year 1s doing some stained glass artwork style and putting it up in the classroom. And we've also had someone from reception taking the story of the Hungry Caterpillar and making it into their own version of the story, which is wonderful. And on Friday I had a quick chance to catch up with some of you live while Mr. Chalmers was doing the best assembly, and it is really good, and I had a chance to say it during that time as well, to see the wonderful and creative artwork that has been going on during this period of the lockdown, and now this phased part of the lockdown as well, and how well you've all been doing and how much you've kept that side of the learning going. So well done, absolutely brilliant, really super to see. And also we've had some other things going on this week. We've had the year 6s playing chess, which, if you remember right back at the beginning, I talked about maybe this was the time to get those old board games out or take up something that you've never done before. So it's wonderful to see that carrying on and to see children having a go at playing chess. Not something you hear or see too much of at the moment. So really good to see that going on. And then also to say a thank you to Mrs. Bourne, because she sent in a little thank you pack to everybody, because Friday was her last day with us, and normally we would have given her a round of applause and assembly and we would have celebrated it, but she's off now to start her maternity leave, and we wish her all the best for the birth of her child, and I'm sure we will hear all about it when that happens. But at the moment, Mrs. Bourne, as you can see there, I've got a sneaky little picture of her there doing the Wednesday singing assembly, but for the next 2 weeks she's now off, so that will have ended, but well done to all of you who took part, and obviously a big thank you to Mrs. Bourne for carrying that on during this period of the lockdown, but we wish her well. Now, I'm going to turn to this week about being thoughtful. Some of you may recognise the man in this picture. This is Marcus Rashford. Those of you that support United will know him very well, and those of you that support the England football team will also recognise him as well. Well, here he is pictured with his mum, and just a few weeks ago he had a very open conversation with the nation in which he talked about his upbringing and what life was like, coming from a time where his family did not have very much money. And he was talking about how they used to go to a shop called Pound World, and how they would pick up 7 items and they would learn to ration them and share them out, and how much he had to thank his mum during those very, very, very difficult times. And of course he now earns a huge amount of money as a Premiership footballer, and of course his life has changed. And he was talking very much about that not giving up attitude, that finding that thing that you want to do and then setting out to achieve it. And of course over the last couple of weeks I've been talking about this quite a lot, that actually sometimes the things that get in our way are just problems that we need to overcome. They're not problems that stop us from moving on. They're not things that mean we can't go on to do things. In fact, actually what we have to do is learn to overcome them, and we become problem solvers rather than people who get stuck in a problem. And I think it was great testament to Marcus Rashford, who turned around and said to the government and his big campaign around saying people need to be fed during the summer holidays. And he commissioned the government and challenged the government to carry on making sure that that could happen over the summer holidays. Because as he said, when he was a child, actually they really did struggle day to day, just getting enough food, and life was very, very hard. And he recognised that that hasn't changed. Just because he's not in that position anymore doesn't mean that things have changed for everybody in this country. I think it's a great example of someone being thoughtful. He had no reason from his own way of life now to call that out, but he felt it was really important, and he took a stand and he made a difference by speaking directly to the government, and he actually made the government change its mind and help us support families across the country who will need food and support during the summer break. And I think it's a great example of someone being thoughtful. And it also fitted in with everything else we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks. So sometimes we can look back in history and we can see things that have happened there that help us shape our future, but also we can look to our present. We can look to the here and now. And in this case, there's a great example here from Marcus Rashford talking about the here and now and making a difference to many, many families during the summer break. So a big thank you to Marcus Rashford for that, and a great piece of inspiration for the rest of us in terms of saying, do you know what? We don't have to get stuck on a problem. We can find a way to solve it and overcome it. And that leads me nicely into this, because as we head into the summer holidays, these might be some of the things you've already been saying to your parents, let alone some of the things you might say to them. Do I have to? What can I do? I want to do something. Oh, I'm bored. And actually, you know, with the way that the summer is going to play out, it's easy to fall back into this trap. And rather than thinking, okay, I've got a problem, how do I solve it? It can be very easy just to turn around and become a moaner. Someone who just moans and complains about everything, rather than thinking, what can I do? What can I do to change that and make a difference? Well, I have to say I found this. This was from following through a link on our Twitter feed from the school, and I came across somebody who had posted this up. And it's someone who actually is linked to the Roots of Empathy programme that we run in Year 1. And she posted up this link, and it was saying about what could children do when they feel like that. And look, there's some great ideas on this website. There's things like arts and crafts, going outside and doing outdoor foot painting maybe trying to make a book together. Set yourself a Lego challenge. I mean, how can you go wrong with that? you know that I think Lego is such a fantastic way of being creative and building things, and it's so simple and easy because ideally you can just turn it into whatever you want it to be. It's up to your imagination. You could even go and collect rocks and stones and turn them into a creative project. And of course last week we even saw our children in school doing that when they made those snail pictures just by collecting materials from around the school. There's also things like this that you could go into. Fun while you learn. You can make your own time capsule. I've already talked about that through the pixel strategy that we're involved with, and about making a digital version rather than a paper version. But maybe you could have a go at making a word search. You could put on a play. You could create your own science day. You could learn a language. You could research your family tree. You could dig out photos of relatives. Your child could stick on the family tree. If the night sky is clear, you could go and wrap up warm and do some stargazing. And all of these ideas are on something called Parents Action for Children. And if you just log on there, you could have a go, and then what you could do is see what else is on there, because they've got lots and lots and lots of ideas of different things that you can do. So no need to be saying I'm bored and I don't know what to do. Actually, go and seek it out. Go and find out the things that you could do. Here's a great website to start you off. Now, I was also talking about this last week, and if you're not sure what that picture is celebrating, then let me fill you in. That's Keith Curl and the Northampton Town football team, Cobblers, celebrating. Wonderful smiles on their faces, as you can see there, because they reached the League Two playoff final. They went to Wembley, they played against Exeter, and just incredibly, what an absolutely incredible outcome it was, because they managed to win that game 4-0. Now, this is really extraordinary because Northampton actually finished in what is called 7th place. In other words, they were the bottom team to qualify. There were 3 teams ahead of them who had better points and had a better scoring by the end of the football season. And actually, despite that, Northampton, although they took the last spot, have actually been the team to qualify and will head off to League One next year. And what's absolutely tremendous about this is just the smile and the joy and that feeling of achievement from hard work. Hard work throughout the season when it didn't start off very well, towards getting towards that final, as we saw, losing the first game against Cheltenham 2-0, and then going around and turning that around to win 3-0, and then going to Wembley and beating Exeter 4-0. And as we've said, that comes from hard work. It doesn't come from just sitting back and waiting for people to bring things to you. You have to go out and you have to make it happen. And that's exactly what they did. And again, it's a great inspiration for us and our school when we see people putting in that hard work and then getting the reward for all the things that they've been doing. So well done to the Cobblers, but also great inspiration for us in our local town because of what can be achieved when you put your mind to it. And brings me on to this next idea. As you know, I've been talking about Quorum Life Education and the SCARF project throughout all of this. And of course within it there's the diary that Harold writes every single day, and he puts together all the different things that he's been doing. And you might remember right at the beginning I was talking about the mindful moments and how you need to try and find something that you can do. Well, maybe just now or at the weekend you've been taking time out to think about other people. And of course yesterday at 5 o'clock the nation stopped to give a round of applause to our NHS to celebrate both the fact that it's 72-year anniversary, but also the fact that they've been hugely amazing team of people during the whole of this COVID pandemic, and the hard work again that they've put in and the sacrifices they've made to make everyone feel safe and to keep everyone else as healthy as they possibly could. And of course yesterday the Prime Minister joined in that and stood outside and applauded to pay tribute to the NHS staff. And I suddenly thought maybe, just like Harold did actually, that we're entering this thing called the new normal. And Harold talked about this last week in his diary. He talked about the new normal and new things that you might start to be doing that you've learnt from this time of the lockdown. What is it that you actually want to carry on doing? During the time of the lockdown, we were pretty much going out every Thursday to give a round of applause to the NHS, but then it was decided it was time to stop that, and we stopped doing it. And then it was an idea that maybe we should, on the 72nd anniversary, we should all go outside and do that round of applause again. Well, maybe that's something that will become part of the new normal. Maybe now every year we'll do it, because it's a way of celebrating and saying thank you to people for the hard work that they put in. And maybe that's become something that you will do as part of your new normal, and you'll join in with that every year. There might be other things that have become part of your new normal. Maybe taking time out and having those mindful moments. Maybe we'll try to find a way to keep those little things going that you've been doing, whether it's taking time out to listen to some music, whether it's taking time out to go for a run or a cycle or for a walk. Maybe you'll make that part of your new normal. Maybe you've discovered something else. Maybe you've learned how to cook, and maybe on a Saturday morning your new normal will be making breakfast for somebody else, making them a cup of tea, making them a cup of coffee and taking it up. Maybe your new normal is that you've learned to take up an art skill and you're going to make that part of your new normal. Maybe there's something else. But actually this is a good time to reflect. During the whole of this lockdown period, and as we start to come out of it, we've all been changing the way that we've lived our lives and the things that we do. And there might be something that you've learned from that. Learned that you want to carry on doing. Something that you've learned and thought, do you know what, I wanted to make sure that I spend more time doing that. Maybe you've spent more time reading a book. I don't know what all those different things will be, but in Harold's diary he talks very much about the things that he's changed and what he's going to do as part of his new normal. And those are things that really we could learn from this. What has been a very, very difficult, sometimes worrying time, actually might now lead us to take a new look at things and to think what is important to us, what's important to you, and what things are you going to try and carry on doing that you started during this lockdown period, and it's something that you value so much that you want to try and carry on doing it. And hopefully within it we will see this. Now lots of you use this, you'll probably recognise it. It's the smiley emoji. It gets used all over the place. It's used on Facebook when you like something, it's used in text messages to say when we're happy. And actually if you look back at all the images that I've been showing in this assembly, you'll see lots and lots and lots of smiling faces. Lots and lots and lots of people showing joy. And actually, what's part of what's happened with this new normal? The weekend people are allowed out much more freely. And we need to remember that we need to do that as safely as we can within the guidelines that we've been given. But hopefully it'll bring more smiles and it'll bring more joy back to the things that we were doing before. And that's such a really important part. Sharing in the happiness and joy of other people is a really important thing to do. And it becomes something that not only makes us feel happy and joyful, but it also leads to other people feeling exactly the same. And I found this poem. It's written by a poet called Spike Milligan. He's not around anymore. He was a gentleman that fought during World War II and then went on to write books and poems about his experiences during that time, and then he went on to become a very famous writer, comedian, and took a very comical look at life. And the poem I'm about to read you is really interesting and very clever and very apt really, because it uses language that at the moment we see as very negative. Language that's linked to the COVID outbreak and in terms of infection and spreading disease and why that is such an awful thing and has maybe affected our lives in a way that has made things not so happy. Maybe things have been a bit more sad for you. But equally, as we move forward, we will start to see more of this. We'll start to see more smiles, and we'll start to see more happiness and more joy as we now move towards this relaxed lockdown. And hopefully everyone will carry on being safe and following the guidelines. And the language that has been used that actually is right has been very negative, making sure that we're trying to stay as safe as possible. Well, now is the time to try and think of using that in a more positive way, through the simple act of giving somebody a smile. Smiling is infectious. You catch it like the flu. When someone smiled at me today, I started smiling too. I passed around the corner and someone saw my grin. When he smiled, I realised I'd passed it on to him. I thought about that smile, then I realised its worth. A single smile, just like mine, could travel round the earth. So if you feel a smile begin, don't leave it undetected. Let's start an epidemic quick and get the world infected. So this time, instead of it being about the COVID pandemic, this is about a simple action of smiling. What a wonderful way it would be if actually we did spend time now as we start to go out more and we see people, instead of being worried that as long as they're being safe and following the guidelines, that actually we smile and we share that smile with them that just says everything will be okay. And sometimes we can smile with our whole of our face, and sometimes we might be out having to wear a mask, but actually our eyes can smile with just the same joy as a great big grin can. And sometimes that little smile can make a difference to someone else. Just an acknowledgement that says, do you know what? Everything will be okay. And this poem by Spike Milligan sums it up perfectly. Such a lovely, lovely idea from something so simple. So, whatever you do today, catch a smile, give a smile, and make sure you spread it around as best as you can to make someone else's day seem so worthwhile and so full of joy. So this week, in terms of our best, I would like us, in terms of passing on this smile and trying to make everyone else feel good about what is happening and about ourselves and what's happening around us, then I think this week I would like to concentrate very much on not brave, not the safe, but definitely the enthusiastic and definitely the thoughtful. So this week, find a way, find a reason to smile for yourself, find a reason to pass that smile on, and then have a week that is full of enthusiasm, have a week that is thoughtful, and hopefully on Friday we'll be celebrating those during our best assembly. So think about this, everybody, this week, and I will see you again next week. Okay, take care. Bye for now.